Hey, what's up everyone? GameDad here, coming at you all with a brand new compilation video, this time taking a look at everything that was covered in my two-part series for the Nintendo Famicom, that console right there. Now, first, if you are new to the channel or you just haven't yet, please be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons, as well as that little notification bell so that you can alert every time I got a new video coming out. Now, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive in and check out my Famicom Collection series. First up, we have Blue Marine, released by Victor Musical Industries in 1988. And as will be the case with most games in this series, I will be guessing as to what is going on because I don't read Japanese, I don't know Japanese. I mean, I can probably say hello and that's about it. But this game, I believe, is a fishing game, from what I gather, sort of like a strategy fishing game. Looks cool. Up next is Choplifter, released by Jellico in 1986, and this is just like really every other version of Choplifter. You fly around, you shoot the baddies, and you rescue the soldiers, and yeah, that's about it. I mean, it looks really bright and vibrant. I really like the animations on this version, and yeah, I mean, overall, it's a Choplifter game. Up next, we have Jinsei Gekijo, released by Taito in 1989, and from what I can tell, this is kind of like a game show sort of game, but again, I don't speak Japanese, so kind of hard to tell what is going on, but overall, it looks pretty primitive for what it is, and the later games in the series actually get a lot better graphically. And here we have Jinsei Gekijo 2, released by Taito in 1991, and this game, as you can see, looks way better than the first one. Graphically, it's much more impressive. The overall game board in the game looks a lot better. I still have not a stinking clue what is going on in it, but it looks way nicer. And here is Jinsei Gekijo 3, released by Taito, also in 1991, just later in the year. And again, the graphics got an improvement. They upgraded the quote-unquote effects that were going on. The menus are a little more simplistic. I don't really like the green background that's on it. But overall, same kind of gameplay. Still don't know what's going on in it, but at least I consistently don't know what's going on in any of them. Up next is Dr. Mario, released by Nintendo in 1990. Here's one I actually know what's going on. Anyone that's ever played an NES has likely played Dr. Mario. Super fun game, very Tetris style, but you match the colors with the viruses on the screen, and it lets you take out all the baddies. Once you've done it, you move on to the next level. Here we have Dragon Ball 3 Gokuden, released by Bandai in 1989, and this one, along with all or most all of the other Dragon Ball games in this video, it's kind of hard for me to tell what's going on. It looks like it's a fighting game, but then there's also some sort of card mechanic to what's happening, and since I don't speak the language, I don't really know how I'm supposed to move forward. I was just kind of hitting buttons. Up next is Dragon Ball Z 2 Cekishin Freeza, released by Bandai in 1991. And this one, I mean, it's got some kind of cool animations, but I think my cart was having some imagery issues. I don't think these are the images that are supposed to show in these areas. Kind of looks like it's just pulling random tiles from art files. But overall, similar gameplay. And here we have Dragon Ball Z 3 Resen Jinzo Ningen, released by Bandai in 1992, and similar gameplay, but I do really like how it shows like the whole scene of Goku becoming Super Saiyan. I'm guessing this is a fight between Freeza and all of them at the end whenever he becomes Super Saiyan for the first time, and it was just kind of cool to see that kind of animation on a Famicom cart. Here we have Dragon Ball Z Kyoufu Saiyajin, released by Bandai in 1990, and this one was the only one that actually played a little differently, and it felt like it had more of an open feel to it, not necessarily like an open world game or anything like that, but it didn't feel like it relied so heavily on a card mechanic. Up next is Dragon Ball Great Demon King's Revival, released by Bandai in 1988, and this is another one of those card-based Dragon Ball kind of games. No clue what's going on. Wish I spoke or even read Japanese. If you know what it is, I mean, let me know down in the comments below. Up next is Dragon Ball Mystery of Shenron, released by Bandai in 1986. And this is another one where it was slightly different. You kind of got to go around fighter style. The graphics were a major step down in this game, but I actually like the gameplay way more in this one. It felt like a beat 'em up in an open world. Here we have Dragon Slayer 4, Drassel Family, released by Namco in 1987. Looks really cool. I've heard the Dragon Slayer games are fun. If you don't speak Japanese, I don't see how you could possibly play a game like this. But, I mean, yeah, it's Dragon Slayer. I guess that's cool. Up next is Family Mahjong, released by Namco in 1987. And at first, I thought this was going to be like an actual just Mahjong game, but it's like a learning game. It teaches you how to play Mahjong. Now, I don't know exactly what is being said on the screen, but I can only imagine it's describing what each of these tiles are and how to identify them. Up next is Frontline, released by Taito in 1985, and this game, it felt like any other kind of, vertically scrolling shooter. It's not a shmup or anything like that, but you just go around and you shoot the baddies, you can throw grenades. It's kind of funny how they processed how an arc with a grenade would be. It kind of squiggles on the screen, but overall, it really wasn't even that fun. Up next is Game Party, released by Coconuts Japan in 1990, and this is not a multi-game cart, but think a Famicom version of like a Wii party game. And you go through, you have a few different things. I chose the air hockey, and I gotta say, it actually plays pretty well for what it is, and it's kind of cool to see these kind of games on the Famicom. Up next is HAL's Hole-in-One Professional, released by HAL in 1988. And this is your typical kind of 8-bit series golf game, and I'm absolutely terrible at it. I couldn't really figure out what I was supposed to do. I could see that I could change, my different clubs and stuff like that, but I was just pressing buttons until something finally, moved the ball. Up next is Labyrinth Temple, released by Konami in 1987, and this game, I just could not get it to capture footage. It was giving me a ton of grief, and what's more, this game is incredibly hard to find any kind of information on. I don't know what it is just about this artwork. I don't know if this is some sort of knockoff cart or something like that, but this was very hard to find any kind of information on. Last up for this video is Matsumoto Kabukishi Gaku, released by Imagineer in 1988, and best I can tell is this is like a stock market simulator. I wasn't really sure. Like, numbers started appearing, and I could go talk to this dude at a counter, and it would give me some times and prices, and that was pretty much it. I don't really know what's going on in this game. Mickey Mouse Mousecapade was released by Hudson Soft in 1987, and this is actually a really fun platforming game where you play as Mickey and Minnie Mouse, and you're kind of tag teaming to get all the different obstacles taken care of, jump enemies, dodge enemies, different things like that. But honestly, it's just a really fun game to play. Up next is Mirai Shinwa Jarvis, released by Taito in 1987, and this game, it was interesting. It's graphically not very impressive, even for this time frame. It's kind of like an overworld, like, adventure-style game. It has some Final Fantasy-style elements to it, but overall, I wasn't super impressed with this one. Up next is Mito Komen 2, released by Sunsoft in 1988. And other than seeing that there's like some different locations and stuff you can go to, I don't really know what's going on in this game. As with pretty much every Japanese game, I don't speak Japanese, so kind of hard to tell what's going on if there is any kind of actual story to it. And here we have Mizushima Shinji no Dai Kaushin, released by Capcom in 1983. And I don't know exactly what that translates to, but it's a baseball game. And it actually plays pretty well from what I could tell with what was going on in it. But overall, yeah, it's just a baseball game. Up next is Nippon Ichi no Daikintoku, released by Asmic in 1990. And this one is another baseball game. At least I think it is. It's got baseball themed stuff. I was having a really hard time just getting through the menus. I got past like where you can name your character, but then I started getting into all these stats and I have no idea what they are, but pretty sure it's another baseball game. And here we have Operation Wolf, released by Taito in 1989. And this game is pretty fun. It's a bit arcadey in its gameplay, definitely not in its graphics, but overall, I mean, I had a good time playing it. Graphically, it does look pretty good. It does not look like an actual arcade game, I will say that, but I mean, that's just console limitations for you. And here we have Othello, released by Kawada in 1986. And I'm not very good at this game, but this actual cartridge gets the gameplay across. I believe what it is you surround pieces with your color, and it then changes their piece to your color, and whoever has the most at the end wins, I believe is how the gameplay works. That's how I was playing it, and overall, it's not bad. Up next, we have Pachacom, released by Toshiba EMI in 1985, and this is a pachinko game. If you don't know what pachinko is, it's a lot of little marbles go into a machine, and they start bouncing around, and depending on where they land, you get a higher score, and that's essentially what this game is. You kind of get your angle, you get your power set, and you just start launching marbles into the space. And here we have Pool, released by Pony Canyon in 1985. Now, I know some other translations of this game are things like Lunar Ball and Lunar Pool, stuff like that, but it's a billiards game. You go through, you're playing pool, you get some different tables, stuff like that, and that's pretty much it. I mean, graphically, it's got pretty cool animations for this time period, but yeah, it's a pool game. Up next is Pro Baseball Murder Mystery, released by Capcom in 1988, and it's pretty on the nose with what this game is via the title. It's about pro baseball, and it's about solving a murder mystery related to a pro baseball player. And that's pretty much it. I don't understand the animation style where the dude's ears are so huge, and I can't read the story, but yeah, pro baseball murder mystery. Up next, we have Satomi Hakkenden, released by SNK in 1989. And from what I can tell, this is a kind of samurai adventure game. I wasn't able to get very far into the gameplay before being completely lost, but overall, based on the imagery, based on the artwork of the actual cartridge, things like that, it does give off that adventure kind of game vibe. And here we have SD Gundam Gachapon Warrior 2, released by Bandai in 1989. And I know what Gundam is, you know, the fighting robots and stuff, but I don't really understand how to play this game. I'm assuming it's some sort of RTS kind of game, but I don't get it. Every button I would hit wouldn't do anything. I could move around the map and stuff, but that was about it. I don't understand how to play this game. Up next is Star Luster, released by Namco in 1985, and this gave me some like Star Wars arcade vibes, where you go through, you have your little radar showing where the enemies are, and you need to shoot the enemies, and that's pretty much it. It's kind of hard though. The enemies move around really quickly, and it's hard to get the cursor to move around where you need it to go in order to hit those enemies. And here we have Super Pinball, released by Coconuts Japan in 1988, and it's exactly what the title says. It is a pinball game. Now, I've seen some other pinball games where it's two separated screens like this that don't flow together, but I gotta say, this one was done really well. It's very easy to use, it's graphically pleasing, and it transitions really quickly, which makes it nice for the gameplay. Up next is SWAT, Special Weapons and Tactics, released by Toei Animation in 1987. And this game, it's hard to tell really what's going on, at least for me. And I don't understand the gameplay. I don't know if I'm supposed to be doing, like, you know, turn-based strategy or really what this game is. Up next is The Black Bass, released by Hot B in 1987, and I gotta say, for a cartridge-based game, this is hands down the longest loading screen I have ever seen in this kind of game. I mean, for any 8-bit game, 16-bit, whatever, I haven't seen a loading screen this long. You'd think the game is frozen right now. No, it's loading. It takes over 30 seconds to load the main game. And here we have Times of Lore, released by Toho in 1990, and this game is definitely a dungeon crawler, fantasy, adventure kind of game. I don't know what the story is telling me or anything like that. Graphically, it's very simple, but I did play this one for quite a while, actually, and was having a blast. It's pretty fun. Up next is Ultima, Kyoufu no Exodus, released by Pony Canyon in 1987, and I'm actually a pretty big fan of the Ultima series. They were really fun games. I didn't really get into it on Famicom or NES or anything like that, but I did enjoy the Ultima games on PC when I was a kid, and I gotta say, they're really good stories, and really fun gameplay. Up next is Willow by Capcom, released in 1989, and this game is actually a lot of fun. Graphically, it's not that great, and with colors and stuff, it's not that great. In the overall gameplay, I mean, I don't know why they chose such a light background color for Willow himself, but this one is based off the movie Willow, and I gotta say, it's actually a really good adventure game. Last up on the list is Yoshi's Cookie, released by Nintendo in 1992, and this game is awesome. If you like Tetris or Dr. Mario, any games like that, this is kind of a combo of all those games. So you have the falling pieces, but you need to move and shuffle everything around on the board in order to create matches, and it's a fun game. The music is addicting. It totally gets stuck in your head, and yeah, it's awesome. So there you have it, everyone. That was everything that was in my two-part series for the Nintendo Famicom. Now, if you liked today's video, please be sure to let me know down in the comments below. And while you're down there, please be sure to also hit those like and subscribe buttons, as well as that little notification bell so that you get an alert every time I got a new video coming out. Now, as always, I'm GameDad. I thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you later.